Audit of the ArriveCAN application looked at how the Canada Border Services Agency, the Public Health Agency of Canada, and Public Services and Procurement Canada manage the procurement and development of the application, and whether they spent public funds in a way that delivered value for money. I will discuss our findings.
The expenditure on the ArriveCAN initiative seemed to defy gravity, with funds evaporating at an astonishing pace, as if cost was a mere afterthought in a grander scheme to pilot a digital ID. Welcome back to A News Network. Thanks for joining. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos. Your support really matters.
But first, I have to say that I am deeply concerned by what this audit didn't find. We didn't find records to accurately show how much was spent on what, who did the work, or how and why contracting decisions were made. And that paper trail should have existed. Overall, this audit shows a glaring disregard for basic management and contracting practices throughout ArriveCAN's development and implementation. Si les organisations gouvernementales
Government organizations needed to be flexible and fast in responding to the COVID-19 pandemic, but they still needed to document their decisions and demonstrate the prudent use of public funds. In this audit, we found disappointing failures and omissions everywhere we looked. Most concerning was that the Canada Border Services Agency did not have complete and accurate financial records. Because of this, we were unable to calculate the exact cost of the ArriveCAN application. By piecing together information available, we estimated that ArriveCAN cost approximately $59.5 million. There was confusion right from the beginning. From April 2020 to July 2021, we found that the Public Health Agency of Canada and the Canada Border Services Agency did not work together to establish each agency's responsibilities for ArriveCAN. In this accountability void, neither organization developed and implemented good project management practices, such as developing objectives and goals, and budgets and cost estimates. In our examination of contracting practices, we saw little documentation to support how and why the Canada Border Services Agency initially awarded GC Strategies the ArriveCAN contract through a non-competitive process. Only one potential contractor submitted a proposal, and that proposal did not come from GC Strategies.
We found evidence that GC Strategies was involved in the development of requirements that were used when the agency later moved to a competitive process to award a $25 million contract for work on the ArriveCAN app. The requirements were very specific and narrow. This gave GC Strategies an advantage that other potential bidders did not have. We also found that the Canada Border Services Agency's overall management of contracts was very poor. Essential information was missing from awarded contracts, such as clear deliverables and the qualifications required of workers. When we looked at invoices approved by the agency, details about the work performed and who did the work were often missing. This greatly contributed to our conclusion that the best value for money was not achieved.
Finally, we found no evidence that Canada Border Services Agency employees disclosed invitations to private functions that they received from contractors, as is required by the agency's Code of Values and Ethics. This created a significant risk or perception of a conflict of interest or bias around procurement decisions. Public servants must always be transparent and accountable to Canadians for their use of public funds. An emergency does not mean that all the rules go out the window and that departments and agencies are no longer required to document their decisions and keep complete and accurate records. As I said earlier, I believe that this audit of ArriveCan shows a glaring disregard for basic management practices. As a result, many questions that parliamentarians and Canadians are asking cannot be answered. The lack of information to support ArriveCan spending and decisions has compromised accountability. Mr. Chair, this concludes my opening statement. We would be very pleased to answer any questions the committee may have. Thank you. And thank you to you once again.
Round of question. Each member will have 6 minutes, beginning with the official opposition. Mr. Barrett, you have the floor for 6, and I understand you wish to split your time. Over to you.
Auditor, thank you very much for being here today. Did Canadian taxpayers get value for money from Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's government on the $60 million ArriveCan app?
So we concluded that the public service did not ensure that Canada received best value for money. I would tell you that we paid too much for this application.
You described it as the Trudeau government having, quote, glaring disregard for management practices, end quote, and poor record keeping, a lack of basic due diligence, and that you were, quote, unable to determine the precise cost of the ArriveCan app, end quote. So $60 million is an estimate. Is that correct?
Yes, we estimated that it cost around $59.5 million. There could be amounts there that should not be linked to ArriveCan, but there also could be amounts that are linked to ArriveCan that were not flagged in the books and linked to that project.
So it's reasonable to say that it could be more than $60 million.
It's reasonable to say that we've put together the best estimate, but it took a lot of effort. We had to go through many journal entries all the way back down to task authorizations to see whether or not items were linked to ArriveCan. Professional judgment was needed, yes.
Right, and just to quote the key facts from your report, it says, quote, this made it impossible to accurately attribute costs to projects, end quote, with respect to the poor record keeping. You've been investigating billions of dollars in government spending over your tenure as Auditor General. Would you say that the Trudeau government's ArriveCan is the worst that you've seen?
So I looked at a lot of contracting that happened during the pandemic when the public service was acts quickly and serve the public. This would probably be the first example that I've seen where there is such a glaring disregard for some of the most basic and fundamental policies and rules and controls.
Okay, I'll turn it over to Mr. Berchtold, please.
Mr. Berchtold, vous avez 30 minutes.
3 minutes, 3 seconds, Mr. Berchtold. Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you, Ms. Hogan, for your report. I want to say first that I'm shocked and scandalized by the way the government of Prime Minister Trudeau has acted. And I quote your press community. You talk about glaring disregard for management practices with regard to the management of ArriveCan. Now, there was a motion moved by the Conservatives, and we would not be here today and to actually examine the practices of government, and the Liberal members of Parliament voted against the inquiry, and here today we're seeing troubling outcomes. Now, Canadians, did they get value for money with ArriveCan? Our understanding is that the value received is not in keeping with funds spent. The government paid too much for the application, and there are a number of reasons to support this observation. The ongoing dependence on external contractors, the lack of justification as to why they chose a given contractor, and why always call upon resources with 10 years of experience or more. Now, the documentation did not show why it was the right decision, and even with, the lack of competition, the processes, we believe that Canadians did not get value for money. Ms. Hogan, you said that concerning the application, you cannot calculate the exact cost because of record keeping. Is it possible that the ArriveCan app cost even more?
The expenditure on the ArriveCan initiative seemed to defy gravity, with funds evaporating at an astonishing pace, as if cost was a mere afterthought, in a grander scheme to pilot a digital ID, lavishing resources without limit in a bid to impress the World Economic Forum with Canada's digital prowess. The enthusiasm was palpable, with a vision that all of Canada would embrace this digital ID with open arms, an ambition that now leaves a bitter taste. It's anticipated that Trudeau might frame this financial freewheeling as an invaluable lesson, a stepping stone towards future betterment draped in the guise of profound care for the populace. Yet skepticism looms large over his willingness to shoulder any real accountability or even make a substantive appearance to address these concerns. This scenario might just be the precursor to uncovering a plethora of scandals lying dormant awaiting Trudeau's departure to unravel. The veil will eventually lift, revealing the true extent of fiscal misadventures, including Stephen Guilbeault's enigmatic handling of a staggering $1 billion or Catherine McKenna's 30,000 projects fading into oblivion. As we stand on the brink of these revelations, the real narrative awaits its turn in the spotlight, promising to unfold the layers of financial extravagance that have remained hidden. Share your thoughts on this unfolding drama and what it portends for the future of fiscal accountability and governance. Keep up with us by hitting follow, and I'll make sure you're always in the know. We value your input, so please leave your feedback in the comments section. Appreciate you tuning into the A News Network. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that make a difference. Your involvement truly transforms our